Where's the Penn State coaching search? Let me tell you where Penn State, the team, is winning. One of the hottest teams in the country. We have made bank on Penn State games the second half of the year. We just waited for them to bottom out, and then we started betting them. So they beat Nebraska yesterday, 37-10. There's a big groundswell of support up there to make the interim, Terry Smith, the permanent head coach. I know a lot of Penn State fans have their thoughts on this. I've taken a lot of arrows from Penn State fans for sharing my thoughts on the coaching search, which is fine. It's your program. It's not my program. I've given you guys that I thought are well cut out for the job. To this point, I haven't been given reason to believe that they've been involved in the search. Okay, cool. I also thought it was weird that they fired James Franklin. So we already were disagreeing on all that. So that's fine. So the people that want Terry Smith to have the permanent job, totally get it, totally understand it. I don't think it would work long term. I've got several reasons for that, but it's nothing different than you guys have already hashed out amongst yourselves. So if you disagree with me on that front, you disagree with me on that front. Here's what I will say. I think they have zeroed in on their guy for the past several days. I think that guy may be Bob Chesney. That's who I think that guy may be. Now, that's not the only one who's gotten a look here. I don't even think that's the only guy who they will have gotten well down the road in contract negotiation with. Whoever they hire, they will claim was the only guy they offer the job to, which is what everybody does. Because technically it's true. Big question here is, well, what about Bob Chesney? Because he's the head coach at James Madison right now. They could be in the playoff. They could have their season extended. This is why I've had trouble like zoning in and zeroing in on Lane at Ole Miss as the only coach that could potentially be in this mess. Lane's just been way more performative about it, but there are other guys. Summerall could be in a position where his season is extended, but he gets a new job and he has to make a decision. Bob Chesney could be in that situation. He gets a new job. Team's in the playoff. He's got to make a decision. So, like a lot of these guys could be in this situation. I think that if you were to go and look at Bob Chesney's Wikipedia page, it's really crazy. Now, if you're a winner, you're a winner. I mean, Kurt Cignetti has taught us that. So I'm not going to doubt just because the guy's been somewhere, hasn't been somewhere. But, dude, go look at Chesney's Wikipedia page. Look at if he gets the Penn State job, where he will have come from to where he will be going. Because that is a pretty steep ascension. If he can win, he can win. I'm not pushing back on it. I just want to caution, and look, I'm an outsider, although I am wearing appropriate colors tonight. I know there's a lot of former player support up there for Terry Smith. A lot of fans support Terry Smith getting the job. I get it. I understand how emotion works. I understand the dynamics of the roster there, how the recruiting class has fallen apart, how everyone rightfully is worried that if we bring a total outsider in here, we're not starting from scratch. You don't start from scratch at Penn State, but we're going to have a lot of attrition no matter what. Our former guy just got hired at Virginia Tech. He's going to snatch a lot of our players. He could snatch a lot of our staffers. So we're draining right here. We're leaking right now. Maybe Terry Smith is the guy who holds it together. There's a lot of merit to those points. Hey, wait just a second. I appreciate you guys watching. Most of you are subscribed. If you're not, please do so. It's free. It helps us keep the show free, and that's how we do college football year-round. All right, back to the video. You've got to hire the guy that is the long-term face of a winning Penn State football operation. And if you think that's Terry Smith, hire him. There's no way you can know that. How would you ever know that? The only thing you can go on is how they've performed in the back half of the season. It's very admirable. I had a guy a long time ago, I had an athletic director a long time ago, caution me against falling in love with interims. It wasn't Pat Kraft. It wasn't this season. So they weren't talking about Terry Smith, but they were talking about a similar situation where an interim got put in position and the kids gave an inspired effort. Really just played above their skis, went over the cliff for the guy, and they said, here's what that's like. That's like a sugar high. Sugar highs don't last forever, but they're really powerful in the moments where it's kicking. And it's the same energy that you get from a team sometimes for the interim. But he also put it another way. He said, now think about this. If you're in a boxing match and you've scouted your opponent and you've trained to face your opponent, and all of a sudden, bell rings, ding, 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 and your opponent just comes out of the corner swinging wildly. He said, would you be comfortable or uncomfortable? And I said, I'd hate that. Like, I want the guy to do what he's been doing on tape. I want to know what to expect. I want to fight what I've trained to fight. He said, yep, that's correct. It would make everyone uncomfortable. But then he said, what if that same boxer swung wildly for 12 rounds? Is it a long-term sustainable strategy? And I said, no. He said, yep, boxing expert. He said, that's kind of what it's like when you fall in love with the interim. Especially in this case, the interim was already there, and you fired James Franklin, and you fired him with the intent on upgrading, right? That's why you fire a coach, because you think you can do better. In this event, you will be openly admitting that the better option had been on his staff all along. And if you believe that that was the dynamic there, maybe you're right. I don't tend to think that's the situation, nor do I think that ever was a situation. I think there's a good option for Penn State out there. I just don't think the guy who would win there long term, to the degree above and beyond what James Franklin did, which is important to note here, is Terry Smith. I don't personally think that. So if it's not Bob Chesney, where do they go? That's actually a great question. I have centered in on Bob Chesney for a couple of days now, so I think that's where they'll go. If they don't, look, this is the one I've had the least amount of feel on. This is the one. This is the search behind the scenes that I've had a lot of people really look sideways at me about. Because I'll hit some folks up. I'll ask them where they think the search is. And I mean, some of these folks are involved in these searches. And they'll say, look, I mean, I can give you an angle on it, but we really don't know. Sometimes that's just a hallmark of a really, really high-functioning coaching search. I think Auburn is that. I'm not sure Penn State has been that. So, again, not pulling against any of these folks. Would love to be wrong. I really don't. I don't know. Maybe Bob Chesney's going to be a rock star. Maybe he'll be Kurt Cignetti 2.0. Sig came from James Madison. He's the guy who replaced Cignetti. So maybe that just becomes the new cradle of coaches. James Madison, the new cradle of coaches. I have news for our friends in Missouri. Every one of you can listen to this, but especially those of you in Missouri, FanDuel goes live in your state in about 7 days. December 1st, it goes live. I'm going to get you a ton of free money. Here's all you have to do. Sign up before December 1st. Make sure you get in under the gun. Don't do it that day. Sign up before December 1st. You can do that right now. FanDuel.com/Josh Pate. Just sign your account up, and then on opening day, December 1st, just go bet $5 on anything. It doesn't even have to win. I don't care what it is. You will get $400 in bonus bets in your account. Boom. And then if you play it right, you'll never be in the red again the rest of your life. Simple strategy. Just pick winners. But on that first day, you can even pick a loser and win. I don't know how much better it gets. So there you go.